am Jennifer and this is Haley from HHS Sting Reports. Today we have an exclusive interview with our district superintendent.
David Olney shares information about the recent concerns about ICE raids within schools and clarifies what staff and students can expect.
Here is Alexa, Maddie, Zaira with the interview.
Hi, I'm Zaira De Vera, an advanced journalism student.
I'm Alexa Rivera, a beginning journalism student.
And I'm Madison Keaton, a beginning journalism student. And today we are here with our district superintendent, David Olney, to discuss recent concerns over immigration and customs enforcement raids within schools. Before we get started, could you introduce yourself a little bit, tell us about your role within the district?
Sure. Well, as you said, my name is Dave Olney. I'm the superintendent, have been for the last 8 years here in Hesperia. I oversee all operations. As you're probably aware, we have an elected school board, and they hire one person. That's the superintendent. That's me. And basically everybody else in the district works for me. But I have an amazing team, and this is my 28th year working in the Hesperia Unified School District, 37 years in education, and I'm retiring in June.
Oh. Okay, just to add some context, we did email you previously and you answered a few of our questions. So first question, you mentioned that any agency, including law enforcement or social workers, must have valid identification and a legitimate legal purpose to be on campus. How does the district verify this, verification, before giving access?
Absolutely. Well, we've got a number of ways of doing that. And one, as you are all aware, we do have our own school district police force. I think sometimes there's a misunderstanding that people think our police force are security guards, and they're not. They're actually post-certified law enforcement agencies. So if we were to get any agency that comes on and says, we have a right to be on your campus, they have to have certain documentation. And that documentation is going to be verified before they are allowed to be on a school campus. If somebody showed up unannounced and said, here's our documentation, the first thing that we would do is we would notify our law enforcement, they'd notify my office. That documentation would be submitted to us, and we're either going to verify that, or if we need further verification, we do have attorneys that we work with, we would be sending that to those attorneys and making sure that it is valid documentation.
Okay, thank you. You also stated that Immigration and Customs Enforcement would need a court order or a judicial warrant, which you just mentioned.
That is correct.
To enter school grounds. Can you walk us through how the district would respond? Well, you did tell us how you would respond if they came onto schools, but if they show up without this documentation, what is the response?
Well, we don't let anybody on our campus unless they have the proper documentation. And I think in my email response to you, I used something that's a little bit more, unfortunately, common, but Child and Family Protective Services. They will come onto a campus. There might be a report that comes to their office that says, there's an issue, and they want to come in and speak to a young person. In order for them to come in and actually have that conversation, they have to have that documentation that says they have a right to be here. If there's any question to that, then your principal, Mr. Everett, would obviously contact my office. We'd be verifying that, or even having law enforcement. I'll give you an example. I was a principal in this district for a number of years, and one of the things that we deal with sometimes are custody issues. And so you'll have a parent who comes in and they want to pick up a child, and we have a court order that says they can't do that. Typically, a lot of times what can happen in that is that parent will come in and say, well, I've got new court orders. And so with those new court orders, I have to admit, as a principal, I was very good at looking those court orders and seeing whether or not they were valid. But I oftentimes would then reach out to our law enforcement, our school police department, and make sure that what I'm seeing is accurate. So it's not going to be just simply as, oh, yeah, that looks good, we're going to let somebody in. Is it valid? And if we have any question about its validity, we're going to use the resources that we have available to us to make sure that it is valid.
Okay. Thank you. That is all for my questions. Sai?
So AB 699 prohibits schools from collecting information on a student or family's immigration status. Can you confirm whether Hesperia Unified has policies in place to ensure compliance with this law?
Certainly. We not only have policies, but it's practice. And at the end of the day, look, I'm a superintendent for a school district. The school district is a function of the state of California. We have laws that we have to follow, AB 699 being one of those. Whether there is policy or not, it's law. We're going to follow the law.
Thank you for your response. Another question, well, you did mention that HUSD does not collect any data on student citizenship or immigration status. Can you explain how this protects students and prevents possible targeting by immigration enforced?
Well, look, I mean, at the end of the day, we have not had any example. I know that, with social media these days, sometimes we get stories that aren't exactly accurate. We haven't had any incident on a school campus that I'm aware of in the United States where this has occurred. So I think that in terms of protection, there's nothing that we could give to any agency. And I don't want to make this just about immigration and customs enforcement. Any agency, we don't have the ability to give them any kind of information that would say that we have anyone who is not a citizen. And as a matter of fact, I also, and that might be one of your next questions, but I also reference Plyler versus Doe, which is a Supreme Court case, a U.S. Supreme Court case, that basically says that regardless of citizenship or immigration status, that any student is guaranteed a free and appropriate public education. And that's the law that we will follow.
Thank you for your response.
As you did mention, the Supreme Court ruling in Plyer versus Doe guarantees that all children, regardless of immigration status, have access to public education. How does HUSD as a district work to ensure students feel safe and supported in the district?
Well, I think that there's any number of ways. I mean, one, and I think, Alexa, you did a great job of emailing not only me, but obviously my staff, and, making sure that we understand the law. I mean, that's going back, Madison, to your earlier question, what's my job? Overseeing an entire school district, my job is to make sure that your principal, their administrative team, all of my staff understand what the law is. In addition, what is our charge? Our charge is to make sure that we provide the best possible education to all of our students. I want every single student to feel that this is a safe place for them to be, a good environment, and our mission is to educate children. That's what we're here to do.
Okay, thank you. And then what resources does HUSD provide for students and families who may be concerned about their immigration status impacting their education?
Well, I think one is communication, and I think communication is sometimes a tricky thing. One of the things that we don't want to do is we don't want to get everybody to feel that the house is on fire, right? I mean, I think that it's really targeting that communication. When you emailed me, I responded. I've had a parent emailed me a couple weeks ago. I immediately responded. It was a very similar response that I gave to you. We had our district English language advisory committee last week. I went and I spoke to those parents. Our administrators know that if there is any concern, you've got a parent meeting going on today on your campus. If they would like to hear from the superintendent, they're going to hear from the superintendent. So I think it's making sure that we have those resources. We have a very robust family resource center in our district and a very robust organization that has family community liaisons. We reach out to our families, on a daily basis regarding a number of issues, and we're going to always be able to provide that kind of support to our families.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Olney. We really appreciate your responses today. So,
We have
we're
other
gonna-
questions.
Oh, I do. We do.
Sorry.
Sorry.
It's all good.
So you acknowledge that there's concern in the community regarding immigration enforcement. Has the district received any direct reports of students or families expressing fear or uncertainty about attending school due to their status?
I think directly, no. Do I think that there is some discomfort out there? Obviously, absolutely. But I, again, want to assure our parents and our families that, we consider our schools, safe places for kids to be, and we're going to do everything within that. My job also as a superintendent is to make sure that our students are safe. I take that responsibility very seriously. My job's also to make sure that I'm following the law. And so anything, again, I don't anticipate anything occurring on our school sites, but if something were to happen, we know what the law is, and we have processes and protocols to handle that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. How is HUSD as a district working to reassure families and keep them informed about their rights?
Well, I think, I kind of address that a little bit just with our district English language advisory committee, making sure that our administrators are working directly with their family community liaisons and they're being able to give what the facts are. And I think that's important. We need to get the facts. In today's day and age, and, bless all of you, I don't think I'd want to be a high school student these days. I mean, with social media and all the things that are out there, I think that what we do end up with is a lot of misinformation. And what we have to do is cut through that. We have to say, here's what the facts are. And, what is our charge? As an educational institution, our charge is to educate young people. And, we've already addressed the laws that pertain to that in the Supreme Court decisions. So, I think making sure that our administrators know so that they can make sure that, it's one thing. And, if you guys have been in the district for a while, you've probably heard my voice come across your telephones from time to time. But for many, I'm off in an office somewhere, at the district office. Who they do know, who your parents, your families know. They know Mr. Everett, right? They know the principal. They know Ms. Rodriguez, your assistant principal. Those individuals on a school site need to have that information, and we have given them all the information that they need in order to do their jobs effectively and to be able to communicate with families so that families understand what their rights are and what we have in place to make sure that our young people can come to school safely.
Thank you.
Last question. Have there been any recent discussions about updating district policies in response to any changes in immigration law?
Well, I think one of the things that we do very well, and I'm not going to knock other school districts, but I think one of the things that we do very well is we do keep our policies up to date. I put a process into place probably about 8 years ago with as updates in laws occur that we're immediately taking those to our school board for policy. And so I think we've done a very good job of keeping up on policies. I think that if you actually take a look at the body of board policies, there are thousands of policies. Staying on top of that is a tremendous challenge. You have to have a good process in place or you will fall behind. I would argue that our policies are more up to date today than they ever have been.
Okay. Well, that is all. Thank you, Mr. Olney, for your time here today. We truly
Absolutely.
appreciate you taking the time out.
You guys did a great job.
Yeah, we truly appreciate you taking the time to respond to our questions and help our community out. That will be all.
Thanks.
So.
Thank you.